Another thing we check occasionally are DR exceptions. While these aren't as critical as errors, since these are only recorded for non-primary key columns from data repository tables, it's a good idea to check them occasionally. Exceptions occur when there's a data type mismatch, or when a text string, as entered in Metatek, is too long for the column it's being inserted into in DR. In these cases, the text is simply truncated at the end of that string. So for example, if a table column has a maximum length of 55 characters, and a 60-character string is sent from Metatek, you'd get the first 54 characters and then a tilde to indicate the truncation. While some of the numbers of exceptions may initially appear alarming, since they're so large, like bar in this example, they in fact occur commonly and are more often than not on tables you're likely not using for reports, so these messages can typically be safely ignored. There are some parameter settings in DR that we use to define active databases and tables, as well as controlling file maintenance, operations, and logs. These are usually established by Metatek, and they're not items you have to change very often, if ever. However, we'll just point out a few items of importance. The main parameter screen gives us a summary of the configurable settings in Metatek. We'll note a couple of items of importance here. First is the nightly file maintenance schedule, which is set by Metatek and usually starts at 2 a.m. to minimize impact on the system. We also want to pay attention to the purge days that are listed for the activity index, error, and exception logs. These are important since the logs purge message entries, keep in mind they're purging message entries, not actual DR data, after the number of specified days, which can be a problem if they're set too low. For example, activity days are set here to 14, which is good. This means the DR activity queue will contain up to the last 14 days of data transfers. So if there's a problem in DR, data can simply be resent from the queue rather than having to redo an initial load on an entire table. Errors and exceptions are set here to 7, which is fine, meaning the last 7 days of log messages will be saved for troubleshooting purposes. You can ask Metatek to set this to 10 or 14 days, since having the recent history of error messages can be helpful when troubleshooting them, that is, keeping track of how often an error has occurred. Conversely, in both of these examples, if the log days are set too short, say to 3, you won't have the ability to easily resend data or troubleshoot messages. Imagine if a problem occurs on a Friday and then isn't noticed until IT staff are back on Monday. You've already potentially lost these messages after the weekend.